guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And today's video is the part 2 of the Q&A about Gather Round Homeschool. So if you missed the first video, I'll link it down below in the description, and that video is just where I answered some frequently asked questions that I get all the time about Gather Round, kind of the technical stuff, how to order, what is live, or different things like that. This video is going to be very different, and it's almost hard for me to make because it's hard for me to share my opinion. Most of the time I'm just giving you factual information about Gather Round Homeschool, and it's kind of scary to come on here and talk to you about, like my honest opinions on things, because a lot of times people don't want to hear that. So I really just want to come to you and say, remember the whole time you're watching this video, that these are just my opinions. We have used Gather Round Homeschool since its beginning. This will be our second full year that we've used it. We've done a lot of the units, almost all of year 1 and the majority of year 2, and we absolutely love it. And so I feel like I can really speak on it, and I really feel like I can share my thoughts because we've used a lot of their products. And so I want to come on here and I want to talk to you as one homeschool mom to another, just like you're sitting right here in my bedroom with me and I'm telling you exactly how I feel. I understand that we're not going to all agree about this because Gather Round isn't for everybody, and that's okay. I totally get that, and that's what makes our world so interesting is we don't all agree. So that's okay. If you don't agree with something, that's fine. I just want you to know this is how I feel, and I'm just sharing my opinion. Just wanted to put that up front, okay? I'm just a homeschool mom just like you who just wants to do the best for my son. And I want to come on here and share with you what works in our homeschool for my son. That's all I'm trying to do. So don't hate on me too bad if you don't agree with me. It's okay. You can leave your opinions in the comments. That's fine. I can have adult conversations. That's okay. But try not to go too hard on me, okay? All right, so I do have notes because I don't want to get off track. So I'm going to be looking down. I'm going to try to move this along, but I'm passionate about this and it may take me a while. All right, question number 1 was, if you use this as your main curriculum, how many days a week do you use it, and how many days of school do you do a year? So yes, we use Gather Round Homeschool as our core curriculum. That means it covers everything for us, and all I have to add is math. We do it 4 days a week, and that's because we go to a co-op on Monday. So if we didn't attend a co-op, I would probably do it every day, but we go to a co-op, so we do it 4 days a week. And the state that we live in, I have to school for 180 days. And a lot of times we go over that, but we do have to do it for 180 days. So that one was pretty easy to answer. Number 2, do you find the lessons long to read? Okay, so for me, it depends on the unit. Some of the units I'm really excited about and I'm really into, and the reading doesn't seem so long. But there were a few units that I felt like the reading took forever. And my son also noticed that. So sometimes the reading does seem long, or sometimes it seems like it's over your child's head. And so what I have done is I break it up. And I show that in a couple of my videos. I'll go to the teacher's guide beforehand and I'll break it up. So normally I like to start with the writing project when my son is the freshest. So we'll start the day with the writing project, and then after he's worked on that, we'll start the first paragraph of the reading. And then I'll just break it up and I'll insert, like after a couple of paragraphs, I may insert a video, or I may insert one of the notebooking pages where he has to do something hands-on. I just try to break it up. That's my best tip I can give you. I think all the information is so good in these units, so I don't want it to be skipped. I want to make it work for us. And so breaking it up for us has helped. So just, find where you think it breaks naturally, and you could go ahead and get a notebook page done, or you could read a little bit and then do grammar. And that way you're not just sitting and taking in all the reading at one time. You're breaking it up, and then by the time you're finished, you've done a lot of the work also. So sometimes it can be long, but do break it up and just make it work for you. All right, question number 3 actually has 2 parts to it. So part 1 said, I noticed that you use Brave Writer and Campfire curriculums. Are you supplementing? Okay, here's the thing. I'm not supplementing. If you're new to my channel, when we originally started this channel and when we originally started homeschooling, that's when I discovered Brave Writer. I love Brave Writer. I love Julie Bogart. If you don't follow her, I always recommend to do that. I have used her book recommendations and her arrow guides since we started homeschooling. So I do not use it as a supplement. And here lately, when I've been using it alongside Gather Round, I'm not buying the arrow guides anymore. What I normally do is I look at our Gather Round unit, I look at the suggested books, and then I also go to Brave Writer and I look at her read aloud suggestions and I pick from there. I trust the read aloud suggestions from Brave Writer, and I mean, we haven't been disappointed. Other than Mary Poppins, we haven't been disappointed with any of the books that were suggested. So I do like that. So when you see that I'm picking something from Brave Writer, it's not because Gather Round's lacking anything. It's because that's the place I like to go to find our read alouds. So as far as Campfire curriculums, we do use those. Those are extracurricular and we love them, and they go along with Gather Round very well. There are some that match up perfectly with some of the units that we've done. And so, yes, we do use those, but we do not use them as a supplement at all. The reason why I like Campfire is because, you know, it's just another way to help my son pursue his passions. And so I do use both of those. So not as a supplement, we just use them because we love them. And that's it. So part 2 of that question was, well, actually I can't even get to part 2 because they also wanted to know, you know, what other curriculum do you use? So yes, we have pulled in arrow guides before. Yes, we pull in Campfire curriculums. We use teaching textbooks for math. We use The Good and the Beautiful for typing. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So those are the curriculums we use, but I do not use Brave Writer and Campfire as a supplement. I just use them when we want to use them and when they meet a need of my son. So part 2 was, if I do want to supplement, what else can I use? And that's a good question because I understand that what you want out of your homeschool is not the same as what we want out of our homeschool. So if you feel like you need to supplement, that's okay. Because it's not going to be the same for everybody. So there's a lot of good things out there, and there's just so much curriculum and it's all really, really good. So if you're looking for a natural, gentle approach and you are wanting to purchase something else but you don't want to spend a ton of money, the arrow guides are great. I think the most expensive one's like $11.95. And what an arrow guide is from Brave Writer is it goes along with your read aloud, and it's just a natural approach to teaching language arts through literature. So you could always do that. I always recommend not going out and buying a full curriculum because I think Gather Round's enough. So if you are wanting to just add a little bit more because you see that your kids need it or you think it's necessary, definitely check Pinterest, definitely go to Teachers Pay Teachers, add in videos, add in games, and I use the word anchor charts a lot, and that's just a glorified poster. If there's something your child's struggling with, if you'll go to Pinterest and you'll type in, they're learning how to write a paragraph, for instance, and you don't think there's enough information. If you'll type in writing a paragraph anchor chart, there's going to be tons of those that come up, and you can print one off, and it's just a poster for your kid to reference to as you're doing work. So don't feel like you have to run out and buy curriculum. Try to utilize all the resources that are out there already and just add to. That's all you have to do. Let me make sure I got all that. Yeah. Teachers Pay Teachers, using your read aloud, do field trips, play games. If you're looking for more history, the Who Was books are excellent. Those are just my recommendations of if you don't want to go purchase another curriculum because it's not necessary. All right, number 5. What's my opinion on Gather Round versus Campfire curriculums? Well, first and foremost, you need to go check out Campfire Curriculum's YouTube channel. They did a wonderful video comparing the two. And it's really hard to compare the two because it's not comparing apples to apples. It's almost like apples to oranges. Yes, they're both unit studies, but they don't claim to offer the same thing. Gather Round, of course, is a core. Campfire is extracurricular. And they don't claim to be any more than that. They're both wonderful. We love them both. It's just that simple. I can't really compare them. I think they're wonderful. They're a great way for my son to choose what he's interested in. So there's really no way to compare them. If you want to see a comparison, you need to go check out their video. And they do a great job of it. I don't want to recreate it because they do an excellent job. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. So with Campfire being extracurricular, I feel like it's just, again, another way to zoom in on my son's passions and help him learn and grow in whatever way he wants to. Number 6, will I do any units or mini units over the summer? And our answer is a big fat no. The reason being is we love our summers. We live in the South. It is super hot. It's usually pretty sunny until about 2 o'clock, and then we get a massive thunderstorm, and then it'll be pretty again. We love our summers, and most summer days, you're gonna find us at the pool. You're not gonna find us doing a unit study or anything like that. Not that we're not learning stuff during the summer, because I mean, you know, learning happens all the time. But we love to swim, we love to relax, we love to travel. So no, we will not be doing anything over the summer. We'll start back up ready to go in August. All right, number 7. Do you test? That's a big one, isn't it? And if not, how do I know that my son's learning? That's a great question. Okay, so let's see. My nose is itching. I'm sorry. No, we don't test. We do have to take a standardized test at the end of this school year. In our state, we do have to take it every 3 years that we homeschool. But as far as testing throughout the units, no, we don't do that. I just don't find that it's necessary. Number 1, testing to me is just a regurgitation of information, and usually it's forgotten. And that's not learning to me. Learning for a test isn't learning. However, I do understand that a lot of places require you to turn in grades and you have to do something. So I get that. I totally get that. So no, we don't use it. How I know that my son is learning is through conversation. I can tell when I'm talking to him and he pulls out some fact that we learned in North American Birds our very first month that we ever did Gather Round. I know that he's learning when he can use that information in a conversation with someone, when he can teach someone something else. I've noticed that when he talks to his friend who does school with us, and he was kind of telling his friend all about plagiarism that he had learned about in the artist unit. Or when we started to do the water displacement experiment in our current unit, or was it in our inventions unit? I can't remember. I think our current unit. And he said, you know, before I even read anything to him and told him what it was, he said, this is water displacement. We did this when we did North American Birds. And he was able to teach his friend the experiment, and I could just take a step back. That's how I know he's learning. He talks about it. He uses the information. He shares it with other people. When we did the oceans unit, I think we did it like in February of that first year, and we went to the beach in May with my mom and my sister, and when we crossed the bridge over the ocean into the town that we go to, it's almost like this switch went off, and everything he knew from the oceans unit, he just spilled out to my mom and sister. And they were like, where did you learn all that? And it was from Gather Round. And there was no test, there was no anxiety worrying about what did he know. He just like vomited all this information, and they were like, where in the world? So through conversation. And I know that's not going to be enough for some of you. I totally get that. So let me show you this. I'm going to show you a couple things in just a second. Do know that in the year 2 units, there is some built-in review. I've noticed in the year 2 units that we've done, about every 4 lessons, there is some type of review. There may be oral narration, there may be, let me think. There were crossword puzzles, there was a game show. all different ways to practice what you know. And I love it because it wasn't trying to review the whole unit. It was saying, hey, from these first 4 lessons, what have you learned? Great review already built in. And in the botany, there's a bingo game narration, and it is so much fun. So do know that in year 2, there is some built-in review. Also know, if you go to the file section in Facebook, you will see some tests. If you do want to do tests, and I completely understand that some other parents have made, and you could use those, or you could kind of use those as a guide and make your own. I totally get that some of you need to do testing for the sake of your state, or to just make you feel more confident and better. So I get that. I'm going to do an upcoming video. I have to, in the state I live in, turn in a progress report, so I kind of wanted to have some papers for that. Nobody actually really looks at it. I say turn in, nobody looks at it. But I'm going to show you in an upcoming video how I use this rubric that I got off of Teachers Pay Teachers, and then how I made this checklist and how I determine a grade for each of the units, just in case somebody needs a little bit of help on how to do some grading. So this is going to be in an upcoming video, so look out for that. I also want to just leave you with this about testing and grading and how do you know if they're learning. Sometimes you're not going to see that in the day-to-day. You're not going to see their learning in the day-to-day. I like to think of us as gardeners, and our children are these beautiful plants that we just need to nurture and love and take care of and give them the things they need. And so we just kind of tend to them every day. And so just like a garden, you're not going to see the fruits of your labor the first day you start or a couple of days later. It takes some time. So just give your kids some time to process that information, and you will see it. It will come out in ways you least expect it and in times that you don't expect it. So just be patient. They're learning, I promise. All right, number 8. How do you handle the seatwork pages? Well, everybody handles that differently, but this is what we do. We only use the seatwork for the spelling. We were doing copy work, but we stopped doing copy work, and that's okay. Our life goes on. It doesn't matter. We use it for spelling. I give them a pre-test at the beginning of the week, and then I take those words and I put them in vocabulary A to Z. Used to be spelling city, now it's vocabulary A to Z. And usually he only misses just a couple, and that's okay. If he missed all of them, that's okay too. We put him in there. Each day he practices that. It only takes him probably less than 5 minutes. And by Friday, he's ready for a test. If he misses any of them, they go on the next week's words. But honestly, he hasn't missed very many. He's done very good with it. The vocabulary A to Z is fun. It's games, and he likes it. And I love being able to put his words in. So I give him the test on Friday, and then we're ready for next week's words. That's how we handle it. You can handle it any way you want to. I know some people make copies of it. I know some people just let their kids use a spiral notebook. That is really up to you. As far as copy work, they could type it, they could write it in a notebook, whatever you want to do. You can use as little of it as you want to, or all of it. You make it work for you. That's what's important. All right. I'm also going to share down in the description box, I made 2 videos on how to make spelling fun, and so I'll share those in case you need some more ideas, but do know that there are ideas in the student notebook that you can check out also for spelling. Whew, I'm gonna have to keep going. This is 18 minutes in and I'm still talking. Okay, number 9, how do you get all the things done? I don't. I don't get all the things done. My main goal in my day is that my family feels loved on, my family feels taken care of, and that's my main goal, and everything else kind of goes after that. So I'm just trying to make sure that everybody feels loved and they're fed and their needs are being met, and then we work on everything else. So as far as having the house clean, we do the bucket system. I'll link that video down below. That works out really well for us. For years, I did a modified version of Fly Lady. That works out. You do have to remember, though, I only have 1 child, so my house is not like a huge mess. Like, it's just not. I kind of keep it maintained every day. And as far as like meal planning, I have an idea of what I want for the week, but I do not write things for certain days because some days I'm not hungry for those things. So having a general idea of what we want to eat, having the bucket system to help maintain our house and our flow, that helps out. And then I guess one of my main priorities is spending time with my son and doing Gather Round, because that's a really big highlight of our day. So that's kind of how I do that. And I also think you need a planner. It may be on your phone. Mine's paper. I like to write stuff down. So that's what I use. So have a really good planner or have a really good system to keep up with things. That's what I do. Number 10, 2 parts. Part 1, would you recommend a year 2 unit over a year 1 unit for someone that's just starting out with Gather Round? Okay, yes, I would actually. I love year 2. I love the layout. I love the introduction of the seat work. I love how grammar is spread out over 3 days. I do think the writing has been way more engaging in the teacher's guide. I love the way it's written. All of that is great. So if you really want to see the vision, I feel like they're trying to, the vision for Gather Round, I think you're going to see it in the year 2. Now, that's not to say that the year 1 units are not any good, because they are. They're fabulous too. So if you want to see the true vision of Gather Round, yes, year 2. But if you're a mom who needs more resources, or you want to see what other people have done with the units, you may want to go with a year 1, because if you look on the app and if you look in the Facebook community, people have done more of the year 1 units, and there's more resources and shared activities. So if you need more help and more resources, go with year 1. If you want to see like the true vision and you're okay with kind of finding your own stuff, go with year 2. Okay? Part 2 of that is, have the year 1 units been updated? Okay, so when they say they've been updated, they have been revised. That means they have been edited. The grammatical errors, I can't even talk. Those things have been fixed. They've been edited. A lot of people are saying, well, is she going to rewrite those? She would like to, but right now her plan is to finish 4 years, and she'd like to come back to those. And if she does rewrite those would be considered a new edition, and you would need to repurchase, just like you would if any curriculum put out a new edition. All right, number 11. Are you worried about gaps? Because you don't have to go in any order. You're not completing all the units in a year. The history is not chronological. Are you worried about gaps? No. And let me tell you why. We are all walking around with gaps. Every one of us has gaps because we cannot learn everything. Okay? School has gaps. We have gaps. There's just no way that you can learn it all or teach it all to your kids. Nor do we need to learn everything. We don't, because we just don't. Let me just leave it at that. We don't need to learn it all. Okay? We don't. All the information, this is just so hard for me to put into words because I just don't worry about it. When you think about all the information that you were taught in school or at homeschool, do you remember all of it? I mean, because I don't. I'm just being truthful. I don't remember all of it. Yes, I was introduced to a lot of things, but I don't remember all of it. Okay? I remember things that had meaning. And that's how gaps are filled. I just want you to know, to trust your kids, that the things they need to know, they will learn. When it comes time for them to know them, they will learn them. Because you know how gaps are filled? Gaps are filled based on necessity and based on passion. So if it's something they need or something they really want to learn, they will learn it. So you do not have to worry about that. We do not have to learn history in order to know history. We do not have to go in a certain order to learn language arts. We can learn any of those things that we need to learn anytime we need to learn them. So do not worry about gaps. Let me just make sure I'm talking about everything I wanted to. Oh, I did write that when children have this self-driven motivation to learn something, they're going to learn it way better than if we're just sitting there throwing information at them. So no, I don't worry about gaps because we all have them. Number 12, what are your feelings on language arts and writing? I feel like there's a lack of explanation on the grammar pages and the writing projects. Okay, let's see. My feelings on language arts. Here's where I think the problem is. We all come from this mentality, or a lot of us do, that learning is linear, that we have to go in a certain order and that we can't learn this until we learn this. And I'm sorry, but that approach just doesn't make sense to me. We do not learn in linear fashions. We learn in contextual bits. We learn in ways that feed our interest and feed our need. So we need to let go of that linear approach. We have to do a linear approach in school because you have to keep things organized in a public school. You have to have milestones and you got to move those people along. But in homeschool, you don't have to do that, okay? So I think that's the problem. It's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that we're not going in a certain order. And I understand that. I totally get that. But you don't have to learn that way. I promise. So I want you to know that when you look at the language arts that is in Gather Round, number one, yes, I think it's totally enough. And I want you to remember that language arts, even in school where it's ELA, is made up of a lot of different things. It's grammar, it's writing, it's reading, and it's speaking and listening. And so a lot of times when things are labeled language arts and it's a communication type thing, people are like, that's not language arts. Yes, it is. Language arts is made up of so many things, and I promise you that Gather Round is meeting all of those things. Are you doing it in a line? No, you're not. But you know what? Your kids are going to be okay. Your kids are going to learn what they need to learn. They're going to pull out the information that they need right then that fits into the context for them, and they're going to learn what they need to learn. Don't worry about going in that line. It's going to be okay, and your kids are going to learn what they need to. The whole thing with Gather Round is it's just a different approach. It is honestly a different approach, and it's hard to wrap your mind around. And I like to think about their language arts as like a cloud, kind of like the iCloud, where everything's up there, and each unit you just pull down something and you focus on it for 5 weeks, and then you put it back up in your cloud and you pull something else down. You could also think of it like a spider web where everything's in the web and you just pull it down as you need it. And I promise you, your children are going to learn. You've just got to be open to a different approach. And that's what the language arts is. It's a different approach, and I'm very confident in it because I see it in my son's writing. That's a good way to tell if your kids are learning the grammar, is you'll see it when they write things. And so I can see that he's learning, and I can see that he understands. And if he gets to a point where he doesn't understand something, I'm not going to say, well, gosh, this language art stinks. I need something else. No, that means I need to do my part as mom in finding resources to help him. I need to start the lesson with a video, or I need to start the lesson with a chart and we talk about the concept that we're going over. Or I need to make sure we're playing games or pointing it out when we're reading. That's on me. That's not any fault of the curriculum. That is on me. Okay, so that's how I feel about it. I mean, if you think about it, all 4 years, you're going to cover lots of language arts topics, and they're going to be mastered over that time because you're going to be doing them at different levels. So I'm not worried about the language arts at all. I think it's very strong, and I do love the way it's laid out for year 2. So like I said, if you're concerned, just look for what more can I do? What can I add to it? I don't need to buy another curriculum. I just need to give them more practice. All of your kids may not need it. So just figuring out which kid needs a little bit of extra help or which kid needs some enrichment. You can provide them those things without buying a completely different curriculum or saying that this language arts isn't enough. As far as writing, I love the writing, and let me tell you why. I do not think that, number one, you should be writing a piece of work every single day. I mean, that would drive me insane. Nor completing a paper every week. I don't think that's necessary. I mean, if you think about your grown adult life, are you writing essays every day? If you are, I feel really bad for you, by the way, because I hate writing. I hate writing essays. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be honest. I don't feel like it's necessary to write keyword outlines and papers every week or every couple of weeks. The reason why I love the writing here in Gather Round is because my son gets an entire unit to learn about that piece of writing, to work on that writing, and to build that writing. That is what is so great. He's not having to rush through it and hurry up and do these parts in a whole week and we just go through the process. He's getting to take it takes us 5 weeks to really deep dive into what is this writing project asking us? How do we do this? Finding the information he needs and then completing the project. And he has learned so much. We've done comic books. We've done an oral presentation. We've done a short story. We've done poetry, postcards, a journal. Oh my goodness, what else have we done? So much. Biographies, informational writing, so many things. The writing projects you can actually find in a file on Facebook for each of the units. So we have learned so much. And just like with the language arts, if you feel like there's not enough information to teach you how to teach your child, that's where you've got to do just a little bit of work. Find videos, find those anchor charts I'm talking about, and give your children the resources and the information they need. And I promise you this writing is enough. They've got the whole 5 weeks to work on it or however long you stretch it out. And they are going to be much stronger in that writing because they were able to take their time on it and really learn how to do it. All right. Just lots of fun products. So I said projects. Let's see what else. Okay, I know this is long and thank you for sticking with me till the end. I'm so sorry, but here's the biggie. First, we're going to answer the question, is it enough for middle school and high school? Before I get into the huge, is it enough? Yes, it's enough for middle school and high school, and my son will be starting the middle school journals next year. Okay, or the middle school notebooks next year. For some reason, in our society, we believe that work must get more rigorous and must take longer because your children are in middle school and high school. And I really feel like we need to let that go. We need to let that go. Work doesn't have to be challenging or take all day to be meaningful. Okay, so I don't know why we're doing that to our middle schoolers and high schoolers. I want my son to love learning just as much in middle school and high school as he does right now. And so I don't want his work to be super hard, and I don't want it to take him hours upon hours, because just because he's working longer and he's had to struggle doesn't mean he's learning more. So I want us to let go of that idea. Middle school and high school to me are the time that we really need to be listening to our kids and finding out what are they really passionate about, what do they want to do with their lives, and us finding the resources to help them, not making it tougher for them. We don't know what the future holds, and we don't know what they're going to do in the future, so we can't possibly know what to teach them. So we just want to teach them how to love learning and how to find what they want to do and jump into it, and let's just help them. That's how I feel about middle school and high school. Okay, now, big question. Is Gather Round Homeschool enough? You know what I'm going to say. Yes. But here's the thing. I can only answer that for our family. I can't answer that for you. You can listen to everybody in the world and you still won't know your answer until you sit and think about it, okay? So yes, I'm going to look at my notes so I don't get off track. So, if you would have asked me at the very start of our homeschool if I thought this unit study of Gather Round was enough, I'd have probably said no. Number one, I came from public school and I honestly thought the only way anybody could learn was if I talked and they listened. And boy, was I so wrong. I mean, homeschool has just opened my eyes to so many things. I was just so wrong. So I just know that teaching is not the same as learning, and learning is not always the outcome of teaching. So I've learned so much and came so far. And you know, at the beginning I just said no, because I was sitting here recreating school at home and we were miserable. I mean, there were tears, and not just from my son. We were miserable. So when we discovered Gather Round, it was a breath of fresh air, and I've shared that before. Like, it changed everything. Everything. Our attitudes, our outlook on learning, everything. My son actually looks forward to learning every day. He wants to know what we're doing the next day, and he gets excited about it. And that didn't happen when we were doing school at home. Didn't happen. So I've been doing lots of research on how children and adults actually learn, really natural learning, and it's made me so confident in this curriculum because it just makes me so confident because my son chooses this. He enjoys it and he looks forward to it, and he has so much freedom in what we do. I understand that people worry. It's hard to let go of that public school mindset. It's hard to let go of what we think of as learning. I get that, and I get why people doubt it. I get it. But people doubt every curriculum. They do. And I see it all the time. And so, like I said, it's really something you have to answer for yourself. You have to ask yourself, how do we measure enough? How do I measure enough? What does success look like to me? And I can't tell you those answers. All I can do is share with you our family and how we feel. So you have to ask yourself, enough for who? Who are you trying to live up to? Are you worried about state standards? Are you worried about what your mother-in-law thinks? Or is it just you? Sometimes the hurdle is you. You have to address those things, and you have to see what enough means to you and what success means to you. And you got to let all the other stuff go. You have to. You got to let it go. So for us, success comes in small doses. It's not an end result like graduation. It's not landing the perfect job. For us, success is every day. If my son does really well on a writing assignment, that's success. If we go to bed happy and fed, that's success. Success is just measured in little bits every single day. And you can be successful today and tomorrow and every day. And so to me, successful is not the end game. It's not a destination that we're trying to reach. It's little things every day. So you have to determine what is successful to you and what does that look like to you. For us, and the reason why we love Gather Round is because at the end of the day, I just want my son to know that he's loved. And it's hard for me to talk about. It makes me so emotional because Gather Round has helped build our relationship so much. Because we have that special time of sitting together and spending that time together learning, it has just changed our relationship. It's changed our whole home. And at the end of the day, I just want him to be happy. That is success to me, that you feel happy and you feel complete and you feel fulfilled and you know that you're loved. That's successful to me. I want him to have good memories of our homeschool and our home when he leaves and he's done with this chapter of his life. I want him to look back on this time and remember good things, not, oh, we did sentence diagramming, or, ooh, I really love that writing program my mom used. I mean, you don't want your kids to remember those kind of things. You want them to have good memories. And I want him to know that he can learn anything he wants to. And Gather Round has brought that to us, has given that to us, has given us that freedom and that connection that we were missing. That's how I know it's enough. I'm sorry, my nose is running. I just have always told him, he can do whatever he wants to do as long as he doesn't hurt himself or hurt anybody else. I don't care what he does. I just want him to be happy and I want him to feel successful. And we're building that confidence with Gather Round. He is learning how to learn. He has found things that he's passionate about, and it is because of this curriculum. I mean, it is. It has taught him how to learn, how to find the information that he wants to know more about. It has allowed him to pick the things that he's interested in, and when there's buy-in, they learn more. I mean, bottom line, they learn more. There's a quote that I love that says, "Learning can only happen when a child is interested. If they're not interested, it's like throwing marshmallows at their head and calling it eating." And I just want you to keep that in mind when you think it's not enough and you think, oh, I've got to do something that's more rigorous, or we need to our day needs to last longer, or I've got to buy this other language arts program. You can throw that information at them all day, But that doesn't mean that your children are learning more than my son, who is passionate and is excited and he's interested. And that's it. I've learned that as being a teacher. Kids have to be interested. And you know what? Gather Round makes my son interested. He loves it. I do know that what we learn with joy and passion, those are the things we remember. Not the things we memorize for a test, not the things that we do for busy work to, make our day last longer, or wherever we do busy work. I'm not really sure why. What we learn with passion and joy are the things that we remember, and those are the things we learn and hold on to. So I think the problem is we get caught up in what everybody else is doing and what everybody else is saying. And right now everybody's sharing all their wonderful curriculum, and I like to watch those. I like to see what people are using. And we just have to remember what is most important is what's going to work for our family. It doesn't matter what my friend on YouTube's buying. None of that matters. It doesn't matter what they say. What matters is what works for my child. You have to let go of what they're saying and starting to feel bad that you're not doing enough. Worry about your family and what really works for your child. And for us, when I sat and thought about it, I'm like, my son's thriving. My son is learning. My son is happy. We look forward to learning. It's enough. It is enough. Gather Round is enough for us. It has brought a peace to our home like no other. It's enough. And the other thing about Gather Round that I love is it's so flexible. It doesn't take up our whole day. And so we're able to spend time together doing other things. It may be together or alone, whatever our passions are. We have that time because of Gather Round. It's brought us that freedom and that time. And it's just, it's hard for me to put into words how much we love Gather Round and how much it's changed our home. So I guess I just want to leave with you a couple of things. First off, if it works for your child and your child is thriving, it's enough. Bottom line, it's that simple. Redefine what success looks like to you. That will definitely help answer, is it enough for you? And to just know that the timelines that people set are just arbitrary. They are. And there's no race. There's no race to finish. There's no race to learn everything, because remember, we can't learn it all. We know that. And that you're enough. You're enough. Your kids are enough. And this curriculum's enough. It's all enough. And everybody's going to be okay. And it's all enough. And that's where I want to leave you. We love Gather Round. I couldn't thank Rebecca Spooner and them enough for making it. It has changed our life. And I hope that you stuck with me till the end. I know this was super long, but it's enough. And just know that your kids are going to learn exactly what they need to learn to live their life. And it's going to be okay. If you're looking for some resources on some good books to read, I always recommend Sage Homeschooling and Free to Learn. Those are both great books. If you have any more questions about Gather Round, leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.